And I have been blown away by how openly that I and others hate Muslims.
And anyone who bows down before God and admits I'm not God 5 times a day, that person is not by definition my enemy.
What Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly are saying here cannot be understood without going back to the past. Years ago, both of them were part of a much broader American media climate that treated Islam and Muslims as a direct threat. So before we understand where they stand today, we need to look at what that conversation used to sound like.
Someone somewhere make the obvious point that perhaps France is having these problems because it has the largest Muslim population in Europe as a result of its immigration policies. Is it time to rethink immigration policies in Europe and, by the way, also here in North America, to pay attention to the country of origin? Is it a good idea to let a lot of people from countries where violent Islamism is rife come to this country?
All of Islam is political Islam. That's the truth. And we can't be afraid to say it. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not consistent with Western values. It's not. They're not pro-free speech. They're not pro-women. And they're not pro-separation of church and state like we in America are. We view the interference of religion in governance much, much differently than your average Muslim does. Even your non-radicalized Muslim. That's what's true. And yesterday, there was a soundbite of me on with Mark Halperin on his show talking about how my understanding is that you've had an influx of young viewers and some Muslims now that are taking another look at the Tucker Carlson show because you've been somewhat defensive of Islam, just yes. The blatant attacks on it as a religion. And I also said something that you and I talked about months ago, which was, as I now see what Israel does to you, I mean, truly, like its emissaries for sure have unleashed a vicious campaign against yours truly on social media and elsewhere. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, we're handling it. But as I now see what they do, it does cause me to reevaluate what other propaganda has been out there that I've fallen for that's coming from a foreign government. You know, you and I discussed this. Okay, so what happened, interestingly, in response to that clip online yesterday was a torrent of demands by the Israel firsters and some regular conservatives, I mean, demanding that I, in their view, return to Muslim hate. That any deviation off of Muslims are bad, universally bad, is not acceptable and makes you of the left, was the accusation. You know, you're just out there for clicks. It's like nothing I've done is for clicks. If anything, my stance on the Iran war and Trump attacking me hasn't been particularly helpful, but it's sincere. And, you know, you got to be honest about who you are and where you stand.
Yep.
And I have been blown away by how openly the Israel First crowd is demanding that I and others hate Muslims or else, or what? We're going to be called empty vessels, or we're going to be like shamed for having said things that are questioning about Islam. I'm not real pro on like Islamic leaders in America. I still stand by that. But I am reevaluating some of the things that I swallowed hook, line, and sinker, Tucker, because I now see we've all been manipulated. You have no idea how ubiquitous and powerful AIPAC, Israel, its lobby, its paid agents. I mentioned Brad Parscale the other day, who's registered as a foreign agent for Israel now and runs Salem Media Group. I mean, there are a lot of those folks in our nation pushing propaganda on us. And I frankly think I've been too trusting.
Well, this was one of the concerns about immigration 100 years ago, that people would come to this country and import with them their own ancient blood feuds and then impose them on the rest of us. And, you know, I'm American. I don't have to sign on to your blood feud. You know, if you're Armenian and you demand I hate all Turks, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, you may hate Turks, you may have good reason to hate Turks, whatever, but I don't hate Turks. I kind of reserve the right to form my own bigotries. And one of the reasons that I try to retreat from the world regularly in the woods or the sauna or whatever is just to sort of come to center to what I believe. I'm a Christian, which is an exclusive claim. Okay, so I believe Jesus is the Son of God. I believe you get to God through Jesus. That's exclusively through Jesus. So I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Jew. I'm not a Hindu. I'm not a Sufi. I'm a Christian. On the other hand, I just like reverent people. And anyone who bows down before God and admits I'm not God 5 times a day doesn't share my theology. We don't have the same view of how you get to heaven. But that person is not by definition my enemy. People who I have a problem with are those who espouse violence and hatred, who lie, who think it's okay to lie, people with a point of view that is not universal. The Christian worldview, and by the way, also the Muslim worldview, is a universal worldview. Anybody can come to this faith. That's my worldview. I was born into it. I believe it. It's sincere. And so anyone else who has that worldview, I'm willing to be friends with. I'm not going to hate you because your parents did something that somebody else objects to. I'm just not playing along with that. And I knew that I would be attacked as like a Muslim lover or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a Muslim lover. I'm a people lover until proven otherwise. And I'm just not going to play along at all with that kind of stuff. And at this stage of my life, I just don't care because it's not about the money for me, honestly. I've never taken $1 from a Muslim or anyone else. I have no debt. I have no investors. And I don't seek to be a billionaire. So I'm not in crypto. So at this point, it's like, what are you going to do about it? Call me a Muslim lover? Okay, go ahead. So what?
Yeah. No, same. It's like anybody who thinks I'm opposing Trump for clicks hasn't followed the history of our relationship.
Oh, I know. Hasn't made your life easier, that's for sure.
Definitely not. But it's like, I also can't wake up in the morning and look my audience, in the figurative eye and lie about how I feel on something this big, on anything.